Okay, bike fans, welcome back to another technical episode of Downhill Smooth Tarmac. This is going to be another complete bike build episode for you today, and we're going to be building a gravel bike. Not just any gravel bike, a gravel bike on a hell of a budget. I'm going to pull the purse strings tight as anything and show you how you can build a sweet gravel bike based on a budget steel 26er retro mountain bike. It is gonna look slick as anything. I know that because it's over here, but you can't see it yet. You've got to watch the video. No peeking. Let's roll the tape. Okay, so let's kick things off by having a look at what we got to work with. Here she is, the donor bike. For 20 British pounds, I snagged this Diamondback Sorrento. The main reason I snagged it, to be quite honest, is not only was it 20 quid, it's got a slick paint job. Really cool, old school. Next job, order of the day. Get all the old rusty stuff off. Let's see what we're working with. Let's strip it down. Okay, so as the strip down continues, can't see on camera, but what I'm doing is snipping all the wires. Any parts I want are going straight into a neat solution of degreaser to get years of muck and grime off. Things like the front derailleur, rear derailleur and the cranks, they're all going straight in for a big soak. Everything else is going in the bin. As this is a budget build, I'm going to be saving everything that I can, including, for example, once these cranks were off, I set about taking out the bottom bracket. Bottom bracket is fine, it looks a bit grubby, but there's no play in it, it's tip top, it's going back on the bike. Okay folks, so you can see now that the bike is all stripped down. It's also been cut and polished with the decals removed. You'll notice at this point in the video I haven't done any footage of how I took the decals off. It was pretty messy, it was a bit experimental, so actually just thought I'd show you just afterwards. But what I've done basically is I've had to use heat to remove the decals, and then it's had to have a machine cut and polish, which has got it looking really shiny. There's actually some scuffage from where this has been ridden on both sides that is going to need covering up, so what I've done is I've actually ordered some more decals, just some straight white Diamondback decals, just to cover up the most of that. Nice thing is the frame's straight, it's no dents, no cracks, no damage, just a little bit of scuffing as was the case with a lot of these mountain bikes, but because the rest of it's come up so well, I've ordered some decals. They're not going to be here for a while, but it's not going to stop me cracking on with the build. So while we wait for those decals, let's get on with the rebuild. First up, headset, bearings good, re-greased, clean, back in. Same for the bottom bracket, a little bit of grease on the threads, pop it back in, it's going to be good to go for a fair few miles yet. Now for a part that I really like on a build like this, and that is applying those fresh decals. Having restored hundreds of bikes in my time, this is a part that I actually love. A lot of people don't like it because it's a one-shot deal once those decals are down, but I love it. Here's a top tip for you. Take a good look at where the marks and wear are on the frame that you're re-decaling in a situation like this. Use the decals to cover up where it's worn. It's a great way of just keeping that frame looking fresh. And if it's a scuff, you're not doing anything other than hiding it. The only thing I'd say is if the scuff is to the metal, get some kind of touch-up paint before you put the decal over it. You don't want rust harbouring under those fresh, sick-looking decals. It's at this point where I start to get really excited about a build like this. This is the point I know it's going to work out the way I want it to. Paint looks good, the decals fit, they give it a fresh edge. And now it's just that excitement builds. Get to put it together, see how it turns out. Okay, so with the decals done, let's get back into the build. We've got our parts, they're all clean. We're going back straight on that bike to see how this budget graveler is really going to turn out. Okay, so as the parts go on, although they've all been degreased and are clean, just want to give them a quick shine with a little bit of metal polish. I like to do this on the frame with a bike like this. It's no showpiece bike, it's going to get ridden in dirt and mud, but doesn't mean it can't have a few shiny bits. Brakes, just easy to give them a polish and a wipe as you're torquing them up onto the bike. Okay, so getting to the point now where it's time to put the cranks on the bike. The build's going really well. Got the derailleurs on, all that sort of thing. Can't get past this point without talking about the cranks that came on the bike and the chain rings attached to them. For those of you that don't know, standard set on a triple would be something in the region of 44 was your big one, 36 and like a 22 or a 24 granny ring for climbing. Whoever owned this before, it's a big frame so they're probably tall. I can only imagine they had legs like honed oak, because, and brace yourself for this, if you know your bikes you'll see where I'm coming from. The outer chain ring, this one, 52 on a 26er mountain bike, 52, middle chain ring, 46, granny ring, 38. What kind of, I'm going to assume man, what kind of rider? Granny ring of 38 back in the day. My God, it's utter insanity. So what we're going to do, I'm going to dramatically chuck them on the floor. That's insane by today's standards. Let's get something a little bit more reasonable off the bench. Is what I preferred earlier. 36, 24. 36, 24, 1136 at the back. The 21st century, I think we all agree that spinning is winning. This is what we're going to go with. We adapted the existing one. A couple of chain rings I'd knocking around. Winner. 52. 52. How fast is that going to be on a 26er? 52. Goodness me. That's right. Next up, it's time to talk about the wheels. Okay. I haven't been able to use the original wheels with the build because I want to run a 9-speed setup. So what I've done is I've added into the budget. I used to have a shop selling vintage and retro parts, so I've included into the budget a set of wheels that I would charge in my shop about £40 for. So it's an old set of Mavic rims, mixed hubs, but the rims just about match. And I've added some Schwalbe Billy Bonkers into the budget and a 9-speed 1136 new cassette. I've given these a bit of a clean up, but I haven't gone mad purely because it's a gravel bike, so it's going to get real dirty eventually anyway. But they're nice and clean, the hubs are good. I think we've got a DRLX on the back, and I think this is an old Suntour, which is pretty cool. You don't get those very often, an old Suntour on the front. Let's see how they look on the bike. We can't fit the wheels because I haven't done the skewers. Here's another top tip for you if you're going to be reusing your skewers. Obviously this is a budget build, so I'm not just going to go off and buy some new ones because these are a bit rusty. Check this out, these are Shimano's. They're the silver ones you see a lot on retro bikes. These go rusty just like that. Simple top tip, get a brass brush or a brass wheel if you've got a drill and you're a bit decadent. Brass brush the rust off. Autosol, metal polish, any kind of metal polish, or Brasso if you're a bit older school. Whack it on there with a bit of a toothbrush or a cloth, buff them up. These are good to go probably for another like 20 years. Winner.
Okay, so the build's really taking shape now. We've just seen a new chain and cassette being fitted, and now we're on to another couple of parts that add into the budget of the build, and that is the bars and the shifters. I've gone for some flared on-one midge bars. They're a personal favourite of mine. They cost around £30, and the shifters, I already had these, so I looked on eBay, and you can get them for around £40. They're 9-speed Sora. They're pretty old school now, but I know they'll have the right pull ratio for the derailleurs that I'm already using. It's at this point in all my technical build videos that I have to have my little safety moment around brakes. I always like to fit new stainless cables to a build like this. Don't reuse the old ones, especially on an old bike like this. The pads, however, inspect them for damage, cracks and wear. These I've just levelled out with a bit of sandpaper. There's plenty of meat left on them. Here's another quick tip for you. If you're using these older Shimano shifters, you'll notice the gear cable comes out of the side. Fit your bar tape before you do your gears. It's going to make life so much easier all round.
Okay, so just a quick point, as I like to extol the virtues of bargain cycling, even though I do spend money sometimes. As you've just seen there, set up, that is late 90s Shimano Altus C10. That is bargain basement budget banger stuff. That shifts with the Sora shifters like an absolute dream, and I'll tell you now that compared to some modern derailleurs that I've worked on, particularly the front one, that's been cleaned and works like an absolute dream. So point is, before we just wrap up this build, don't be afraid of it. It hasn't got to be the or and above, okay, for these kind of bikes, for you to enjoy it. It doesn't have to be top of the tree. When you do a retro build, everyone's the same when it comes to mountain bikes. Gotta have XT, or get a bit of XTR. Do you? Do you actually need to do that? Okay, so there you have it. It is finished. One retro gravel bike. total cost for this build, I think, is pretty respectable. In the world of cycling where things are expensive, cycling is expensive, parts are expensive. Since COVID, it's been an expensive thing to get into. This, I think, is a great, viable and fun option, and I will tell you now it'll get more comments than a gravel bike when I go out riding. It's shiny, it looks good. Total cost to build this, including the new tyres, new chain, new cassette, new bar tape, a few other bits, £287. Done and done. Perfectly capable, it's got rack mounts, it's got good geometry. It's done. And I can guarantee you now it's going to be fun. As always, you have to wait for another video for the test ride. It's something to think about. If not all of us have got a massive wallet to spend on cycling, you know, is it going to be as light as my carbon gravel bike? No, it's not. Is it going to be more compliant? Well, there's more tyre and it's steel, so it'd probably be a little bit more comfortable. It also didn't cost nearly £2,000. £287. Boom. I am properly happy with that. I think it looks absolutely cracking. Had we not had to buy new wheels, could have been even cheaper, could have been about 250 quid. But we have got a nice wheel set. They're nice, they're true enough to work with. The tyres, could have worked with the old ones on it, the old mountain bike tyres, but chose not to. Not for me. It looks great. I can't wait to get out and ride it. And with that, this build video is done. The bike is shiny and done and ready to ride. So all that's left to say is that until next time, I hope that your ride is downhill with smooth tarmac. Keep your rubber on the road, keep your wheels spinning. Most of all, be safe, and wherever you end up, have happy trails. And thank you again for watching. Take care.